It's free!
Hi guys, it's Bigger10 and welcome to your 17th Roblox Lua scripting tutorial. Now in this tutorial, as I mentioned before, we're going to be continuing with our admin command script. But before, at the very end of the last video, I posted a contest. Who could think of the line that goes at the end of that scripting, at the end of the admin commands? Now, everyone's probably dying to know the answer, who got it right first, but as I'm not actually in the admin commands place, I'll tell you when I actually start. Now, I'm in the scripting showcase place, which is quite weird. In the last tutorial, I said anyone who gives me a model for the scripting showcase will get 200 Robux. Now, on every single scripting tutorial, I've got at least 2 scripting models for the scripting showcase, and then in the last video, I gave everyone who entered 200 Robux, and on the only video you get money for, no one enters. So, remember, in the next video, if you submit a model for scripting showcase, it can be anything that you've learned. If you couldn't script before watching these tutorials, and now you've learned from these tutorials, make a model showing how much you've learned, how cool stuff you can do, maybe a model you've included in your place, just anything. It'll be available for everyone to see on this tutorial. It'll be free in the set, it'll be free in the place, everyone can see it. So, you can send your models to me, just message me on Roblox the link, or on YouTube the link. Make sure you include the link to the actual model, because sometimes my models page doesn't work for some reason. It might be because of Google Chrome, but it should be compatible with Google Chrome, so I don't know, but sometimes it doesn't work. So give me the actual link to the model, rather than just saying it's in my models. So I'm going to go on to the scripting showcase now. Sorry, I'm going to go on to the admin command script now. This is the scripting showcase. In this tutorial, we'll be going into the more nitty-gritty part of the admin commands. Now, you may have noticed a few things. My Camtasia trial has run out, unfortunately, so we're going to be stuck with this fairly bad screen recording software. It's actually quite good. It's BB Flashback Express. It's actually quite good for a free one, and I'm sure if you actually paid for it, it would get a lot better. But unfortunately, I haven't paid for it, and it is free. So I'm using it for now. I'm probably not actually going to get a better one. And secondly, I have got a new microphone. It's a headset microphone. I don't think it's an awful lot better quality than the last one, but it should be slightly better. And now, at the moment, there seems to be a new update. Change the place, terrain, script. Don't know where this terrain has come from. I'm just going to leave it there. Don't want it to break anything. Right, now, as I mentioned in the last tutorial, well, as I mentioned in as I posted in a caption at the very end of the last tutorial, the person who gave me the answer to the question, which was what is the line that actually makes this function work whenever a player is added, gets Robux. Now, actually, the first person who answered was XX Darkmax XX. Now, he doesn't have Builders Club, but he did post the right one. So that line is game.Players .player added :connect and then player added. Now, unfortunately, he doesn't have Builders Club, so he doesn't get the money. But the person after him, who does have Builders Club, unfortunately I can't really give the money to them because they could have just easily copied him. So, I don't know, it's his decision. I'll message him on Roblox. If he wants to give the money that he earned to someone else, I'll let him. But if he thinks it's unfair that someone else could copy his and get the money from it, then I will listen to him in that respect. Now, I'm going to explain what this line actually does. You should know this from the events line, the events tutorial I did a while ago. It's basically the same format as the touched event, when you make bricks do something when they get touched, except it's not actually touched, it's when a player added. So first of all, game.Players is the object we're going to be using on, which is this. This is the player service. Oops, forgot to zoom in. There you go, and that's what it looks like. Game.Players is the object we're going to be using on. This is the object that the event's in. The event that we're going to be needing to use is called player added, which is inside this. So the next thing we do is we do dot player added, which means we're going to use the player added event inside the game.Players service, this will fire the connect function whenever this is fired. So player added is fired whenever a player joins what the event is in. In this case, it's well, I think there's only one case. There's only this event is only actually in one object, which is game.Players. So if it was in more than one object, it would be whenever a player joined whatever this was. But because there's only actually one object that player added event is actually in, player added only fires when someone joins game.Players. Basically meaning when someone joins the game, player added fires. So when player added fires, it runs this function connect. When connect runs, it runs the thing in a bracket, which is player added. Player added is this, so it will run this whenever someone joins the game. Now, if that brings back a memory, or if indeed you actually knew this already, then you're good. If you don't know this already, you should watch my tutorial on events, which I have done in this series. You definitely need to know how to use events. I'm going to keep saying over everything you need until I'm certain that everyone watching my videos actually knows how to do everything that I'm talking about. So, at the moment, in this, we need to do this. If isPlayerAdmin new player.name, then set up chatted event. We need to make it so that, because remember last tutorial we made it so that the script can actually detect who's an admin. So this now detects who's an admin. If the thing in here will run when the person who joins is now an admin. The trouble is, we need to make another function to run whenever the person speaks. Now, the speaking function is called chatted. Lots of people know it as on-chatted or anything like that, but the speaking function is called chatted. Now, to use the chatted function, you probably guessed this already. I'm gonna create the chatted function first, the actual function, not the event. Function, I'm just gonna name it chatted without a capital letter. Now, there's two arguments in this: recipient and speaker. No, there's not. There's message and recipient. Let me just check that a second. We'll be right back. Yes, that is right. Message and recipient. Recipient was actually an argument put in the chatted event because Roblox thought that they're going to use it at some point. They're going to make it so you can have like whispering to other players in game. They still might add it, but for the moment it's nil all the time, nil. So there's no point in that argument even being there at the moment. I'm just going to leave it there. Message, as you probably guessed, is the message that the person speaks. I'm just going to put end now, without putting anything in it, because we're going to need to set up the event. So, delete this line, and now the event that the object that the chatted event is in is the player. So the player in this case is a new player. So now we're going to use the event which is chatted. I have to spell it exactly like that with capital letters and everything, and then going to follow the same format as this does. So whenever a chatted fires, which is whenever this person speaks, it's going to run connect, which is going to run the function inside connect, which is going to be chatted. So we're going to type chatted into there. Whenever a new player chats, it's going to fire the chatted event, which is going to connect there, which is going to run the connect function, which is going to run this function, which is going to run this function. So this is all working so far. We do, however, have a slight issue. We don't actually know at the moment who the speaker is. Now, this isn't actually a problem for added commands at the moment. Do we need to know who the person speaking is? No, because we've already got this person. But say we wanted multiple degrees of admins, we'd probably just do another table. But in some cases, you just might want to have the player's name. We're not actually going to cover that now. I'm going to go back to that later. In some situations, you do want to have the person who's speaking's name, so you can actually do stuff with that person. So say, for example, in add commands, if I wanted to do kill/me, you'd need to know who spoke that to actually know who me was. You can't just go me in the actual chat unless there was a guy called me. The actual player, sorry. So for now we're just going to leave it, so we won't be able to do kill/me or rocket/me at the moment, the same as we won't be able to do rocket/others. We'll still be able to do kill/non-admins or kill/admins because they're nothing to do with actually whether we know who the person who's speaking is. But this, all we know that the person who's speaking is an admin because we've done this check with this function here, which is this function. We don't actually know which admin is speaking. We know that admin's name here, but we haven't. In no way there's this function. We haven't relayed to it in any arguments. Knows what the name is of the person who's speaking. We're going to ignore that for now. We can easily add it in later once I explain to you anonymous or nested, as some people know them, functions, which aren't actually that complicated, but they're not a step that I want to go now after the series of boring table tutorials that I've done. So, in chatted, what do we want to do? Well, first of all, we're just going to start with the simplest of commands, kill. Now, for this, we're going to need to know some string functions. Let me just explain to you a string function, sub. Now, string functions are basically the same as table functions. Remember, table functions, you can do table.insert, and then the table name, and then whatever you want to insert into the table. The same as with string functions, you can go string dot, then whatever the function name is. In this case, as I said, it's sub, and then you want to do the string, which in this case is message, and then there's a few more other bits. Also, so this is what we're going to be doing today. Also, instead of string.sub, you can do the string, which is message, and then colon sub, the same as we can with tables, because it will then replace the first argument with message. So instead of doing string.sub message other stuff, you could just do message sub other stuff straight away without having to use message. Remember, there's a colon there instead of a dot because it's actually a function inside the string rather than just something inside a table. Or it's actually called a method inside a string. So, I'm going to explain to you what string.sub does. We want to check whether the first few characters that the person types is kill/. So, to do this, we need to use the string.sub function, as I just said. Now, how do we get the first few characters? Well, first of all, we need to know how many characters kill/ is. So if you just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kill/ is 5 functions. It's 5 characters, sorry, not 5 functions. So, if string.sub, and then the string, message is the string we're going to use the function on, and then the next 2 numbers, or 1 number, are the actual characters we're going to be comparing the string with. Now that might not make any sense. So if we put 1, 4, this now returns the string, which is message, the characters in the string from 1 to 4. So let's say we have this. If message was that. Ouch, I just hit my funny bone in my chair. Ow. If the first character to the 4th character, this is what this is. If the first character to the 4th, I haven't actually put the end in it. So this string.sub function returns message and the first to the 4th character of the message. First to the 4th. So this string.sub now returns AFSQ as a string. So if we did if string.sub equals, then AFSQ, that would be true because the first character to the 4th character is AFSQ. But we don't want that at the moment, and we don't want this because message is not. We want message to be the thing that the person said, not just a random thing. So instead of this, we said it was 5 characters. So if the 1st to 5th character of the thing that the person said is kill/, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if the first and fifth character is kill slash, then, so if the person says, for example, kill slash blah, just that person's name, and then kill slash is going to be the first 5 characters. If we do the first 4 characters, it'll only be kill, which is useless. We don't have to have a slash, of course. We could have, if the first 5 characters are kill and space, and then you could just say kill space this. But because this is the most common way of doing it, and it can avoid confusion when you're trying to test it, and you don't know how many spaces you've put, we're just going to stick with kill slash. So if the string is kill slash, then so basically, if the person has said kill slash at the beginning, and then we want to kill the person that he said, the person's name that was after kill slash. So we can do this a different way now. I'm just going to make a variable name. Doesn't have to be called name, of course. It's just a variable. And then after this, I'm going to type string.sub message 6. I'm not going to put anything after 6. Now what this does, this string.sub message does exactly the same as the last one, except instead of from 1 to 5 or something, because there's only one argument, it just goes from 6. Doesn't stop anywhere. So from 6 to the end of whatever's chatted is the name of the person. So if the person's anything after this will now be this. So if the person said this, kill, put caps lock, kill slash pkten, I don't know why anyone would to do that. No one should ever think of doing that. Kill slash pkten, then this name would be anything after and including the 6th character. So name would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, anything up to here. Anything past this character. So that would be pkten. But then if we did pkten and Mr. Uno, here up to here. So this wouldn't work because no one's going to have a space in the name pkten and Mr. Uno. But for now we're only going to stick with having one name until I've taught you how to do otherwise. So we're going to stick with kill slash pkten. It's very easy to do to have more than one person. We're going to do that later on after we've made a few more functions in this. So name is now anything after the slash. Now we want to make the person whose name it is die. So name is now going to be anything after the slash, which is actually going to be the person's name if they've typed it correctly. But it might not be the person's name if they've misspelled it. So we don't want to just go straight in and say that person died, because then if it's not actually real, if the person's typed it wrong, then it's going to glitch and produce an error. So what instead we're going to do, we're going to use a function FindFirstChild, which I've covered before. If it will return nil instead of just erroring if it's not there, which means we can actually check. So we're going to do again. We don't actually need this name variable, at least I don't think we do yet. So I'm going to change this into local player is game.Players. I'm going to use the FindFirstChild function on game.Players with this as the argument, which basically means, so as I said, this is everything after the kill slash. So say if this was pkten, and then it's gonna, this function's, if pkten exists in game.Players, so if pkten is in the game, that is what that means, and then it's gonna return pkten. If pkten isn't in the game, and then it's gonna return nil. So if the thing after kill slash isn't actually in game.Players, so if the thing after kill slash isn't actually in the game, it's gonna return nil, which is good because we can actually check if it returns nil. It's not just gonna error straight away. We can actually check if it returns nil. But then if it is in the game, and then we can actually use it. So I'm going to say if player there. Because I haven't put if player equals anything, it's going to say if player is anything but false or nil, and if it's nil, and then it's not going to run this. If it is nil, if it isn't nil, then it's going to run this. Because now we want to find the player's character, not the actual player in the player list or anything. We want actually the character that person's controlling. We're going to set his humanoid's health to 0. I'm not sure if I've done this before, but we're going to do it now. Player. Now, there's a property inside a player object called character. Now, as you might have guessed, that's the character. Character never disappears unless the character actually gets removed, which in case, then the script will error. But the character's never going to get removed unless someone hacks the game or your script is. So, as another failsafe, we're going to put, I'm not sure if this actually had anything. I definitely know that it used to glitch anyway if the person's character was nil. I'm not sure if it still does anymore, but I'm going to do it anyway, because I don't have a feeling it doesn't glitch anymore. I'm not sure why it wouldn't, but I think they might have changed something. Anyway, if player dot character, then basically, if the player's character isn't nil or false, if the player actually has a character, if the character hasn't been removed from the game and the player's still in it. That might seem very unlikely, but have you ever been punished in a game? Your character does get... Actually, if your character gets removed, I'm not sure exactly what the effects are, but anyway, I'm going to keep that in there just in case. I have a feeling, well, this definitely used to happen, I just said, if the character was nil or false, this line would still error, so this one line wouldn't, effectively doesn't do anything. But it might do now, and it should do in the future, so I'm going to keep it there to make it a bit more fail-proof, a bit more less likely to glitch. So if the player exists, if the player's character exists, and then we're going to set his humanoid's health to 0. So we're just going to kill him. We're going to go inside the character, as you should know. There's an object called a humanoid, which is what stores all the health. If they're jumping, if they're sitting, where their positions are, blah 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 blah, where they're going to walk. It has a property called health, and if you set that to that's what the person's health is. So if you set it to 0, he's going to die. Player dot character dot humanoid dot health equals 0. And we're going to end that one. We're going to end that one. There we go. There's our working script. Now we're just going to test if it works or not. You might not know how to test things with chatting in a normal game. At the moment though, you have to use the correct capital letters for the name. You have to use the correct capital letters for this part as well. And there's one more failsafe that we should put in here. Now, I'm going to explain to you the context at the end of this video, but until then, I'm just going to test the script and see if it actually works. So, just going to insert a base plate and stuff. Oops, there we go. Let's make it a bit bigger. Mouse appears to be slowly running out of battery. A bit stuttery. Anchor it. Lock it. And just in case I put it in the wrong position completely, put a spawn location there. Now, I'm going to actually explain to you the process of this, because some people don't know how to test chat in single player mode. You go Tools, Test, Start Server, and our start server doesn't start a real server, it starts a local server, so you can actually go away. No, my mouse is broken. So server, this is basically just a version of a server that you can use. It's just a solo server. So basically now I can go Tools, Test, Start Player, and I can see what's happening in the game from the server's perspective, instead of having to control the player the entire time. When the player arrives, which should be very shortly, unless it fails to connect like that. Okay, apparently it doesn't work anymore this way. I think Roblox must have just broken it, or it might be my internet connection that just got a new Virgin Media, which is the reason, by the way, that I haven't any videos, because my internet was screwed over because of the Virgin. But that is how you would do it. Now I'm going to go back into the script, and here are the contests for today's video. First of all, you can submit your models to the scripting showcase. Just send them to me in a link on a YouTube message. You can even have a Twitter message at the Picker10, or not the Picker10, just Picker10, or on Roblox. Just message me the link to the model, and I'll give you 200 Robux if I think it's good enough, which it almost definitely will be for the scripting showcase. And now the contest, which will give you only one of these is going out as a prize. So the first person to answer any of these will win the money, and then no more money will be given out, but I'll still mention your names. There's different things. What more fail-safe? What other fail-safe can I add in here? Now, what a fail-safe is, what I mean by that is that if player then, this is a fail-safe. It means that it's just checking to make sure player isn't not there. So if this wasn't there, and then whenever the person misspelled it, it would crash. If this wasn't there, and then whenever the person's character wasn't there, it would crash. But there's one more thing I could do to do with a humanoid. What could I do to make sure if the person's humanoid wasn't there, it wouldn't crash? Because at the moment, if I try and set a humanoid's health to 0 and a humanoid isn't there, it's a script that's going to crash. How can I prevent that? That's the first contest. You get 750 Robux for completing any of these contests, by the way. The second contest, or the second challenge that you can complete, is if you can make this be not case sensitive. So if you can type kill / all in caps, or half of it in caps, half of it not in caps, and then you can, if you can make that work, you'll also get the money. Or if you can make player, if it's all in caps or all not in caps or anything, you don't have to get the actual player's capital letters right. You can get that to work as well. Okay, remember, scripting showcase, adding a failsafe for 750 well, first of all, scripting showcase for 200 Robux, adding a failsafe for this for 750 Robux, making this not case sensitive for 750 Robux, and making this not case sensitive for 750 Robux. Now, thank you for watching. I hope this hasn't been too long of a tutorial. I hope it's been exciting. You can actually do admin commands now. You'll be able to test them. You'll be able to use them. Hopefully this isn't glitchy. If it is glitchy, please message me and I'll fix it and tell you how to fix it yourself, if you can't fix it yourself already. Don't forget to subscribe. My Virgin Media should allow me to upload this video fairly quickly after I've edited it. And I'll see you in the next tutorial.